Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of Friends from Work. I'm Tom, this is Sean, and on today's episode we are going to be discussing Season 4, Part 1 of Netflix original series You. But before we do that, do us a favor, leave a like right now, subscribe down below, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, links are on the screen and down below.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers obviously. And there we go. And before we do get in, let's get right into it. I don't like that. There we go. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure everything's I was off a week, so we're getting a little kicking off the rust. So, this season so far, it's going to be hard to hard to discuss it, just because the story's not over.
I don't know if it's hard to discuss.
I'll say give it a rating. We talked about this off screen. I don't think I'm going to give it a rating, like a number how we usually do. Maybe I'll say like a word or two how I feel about it, but rating wise, I don't think I'm going to rate it. No. But I'm 70-30 on the new take with Joe. In the sense of,
what do you mean, like the new format this is in? Or the new person he's trying to be.
No, the new person natural. If you watch the show,
you mean just like where it's not like him trying to stalk one guy down, or one
girl down. Yeah. So like how season 3 ended was he was chasing after Marianne, and then it kind of Netflix released the promo thing. Was like they kept talking about Paris. I remember that when season 3 wrapped, like a week or two later, they dropped like this whole like montage of every girl he talked to talking about Paris, and then him ended up in Paris. And it was a big Paris thing. That was season 4 was supposed to be Paris. We were there for a few minutes, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to."
Yeah,
London.
I remember when you told me, you're like, "Oh, it's out," and then I was like, "Man, I can't remember anything really." And you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be in Paris," and then I'm watching. I'm like, "I thought they were gonna be in Paris."
Yeah. They switched it.
They were only like you said for a scene.
Yeah,
for a single scene, like
first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, I was saying maybe more, a couple scenes, but maybe 5-10 minutes tops. Where. And it was like not like at the Eiffel Tower. It was just like they were in Paris, like just some random place in Paris.
Random art gallery.
So it wasn't even actually like had anything to do with Paris at all.
No, yeah, I was a little disappointed with that, but I feel like they may be coming around. I don't know. I think everything is actually going to take place in London this whole season.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going.
I think season 5 will be in Paris. I thought this
was supposed to be the last season.
They said that.
I believe so.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't the way it is. I don't think so
either. But
I don't just based on the mid-season finale. I don't think they'll be done after this. I think. I don't remember saying anything that said this was the final.
I thought maybe I just thought it in my head. I wasn't sure.
But I think the final season will be in Paris, or like the first half will be in Paris and the second half will be in the United States or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, at some point he's got to go back for his kid, right?
Yeah, that's going to be an arc.
Maybe, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I can't. Yeah. That's why I don't think that this will be the end, because nothing. This next arc or this next part's gonna have nothing to do with his kid, so they can't end it with like no closure on what happened with his kid. So I'm assuming there'll be a season 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. But regarding the murder mystery, at first I was like, because I didn't like it how they were like making like Joe, like they were like making fun of their own idea, like, oh, it's another cliche murder mystery. They did that with She-Hulk a little bit. Obviously, it's a big drastic take, but like where it was like making fun of a certain point, like self-loathing, and then they're like, oh, but we're still doing it. I'm like, then why are you making fun of it? Like but they moved away from that quickly.
Sometimes you just make fun of yourself a little bit.
Yeah, they did that and they moved away from it quickly, so I was fine with that long term. But initially, I was like, I always hate that. But I understand why they had to do a murder mystery, because season 1 obviously trumps all of these seasons. It was so good. I want to rewatch it actually after watching this. Season 2 was literally the same exact thing as season 1, but just shittier.
Didn't have the
same,
because it was just
the first season took you so much.
I was like, oh, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah,
and it was still good. It just
wasn't as good.
The initial season was like something we'd never seen, like
before.
A glorified version of a stalker.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to do a Ted Bundy movie where like he's this monster and they're like not glorifying it at all. Like they kind of do, but not in this. Like they just like paint Joe to be like just this love struck guy. It's like.
Who just kills you?
I kind of felt the same way when you're like, oh, it's kind of weird seeing them do it a different take where it's not like all Joe and his brain and like a singular. It's always been like a singular focus, like this girl. Everything's about this girl, and this one's like a lot of shit's happening. It's like a bunch of storylines. You're trying to solve what's going on. It's like before we always knew who the murderer was. It was Joe. You know what I mean? We're just we were like, I don't know what we were doing. We were just like going on the ride with him where like he tried to rationalize it after the fact. But now it's like all this shit's happening to Joe. You know what it gave me vibes of? Dexter.
I thought about that.
Something like Dexter where like there's a few seasons of Dexter where the killer knows who Dexter is and they're kind of fucking with him, and now we're like on Joe's side all of a sudden, even though he's like murdered like 10 bitches already.
He's like, well, this guy's the asshole for this season.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this guy's a little worse. So that's what it gave me. It kind of felt like that to me, where when the guy was messing with the phone, I just kind of felt like Dexter to me, where like he's the bad guy. Joe's the bad guy.
Killer.
Yeah.
Remind me of that a lot. Or the Trinity didn't know who he was, but Ice Truck did.
The Trinity was messing with him though. He didn't know who he was, but he was
not till later.
Yeah, not till later.
But the murder mystery I understand, because like I said, season 2 was rough. Season 3 was actually a good recovery because it was still the same thing, but a slightly different take. Like Joe had a wife who was also psychotic.
Yeah, she was a psycho killer. It was like a Dexter thing where like he finally met a girl who was psycho like him, and she was killing people too.
So like that was a cool little spin, and then I understand why you can't, because they knew from season 2 how, I'm pretty sure that's probably the least favorited. I don't know. I have to look. But I remember when it came out, no one was really, it was mixed, I would say. But with season 4, I understand why they had to do it differently. So I'm not too mad at it. Like I said, I have to see the whole story play out because you guys have watched obviously if you're watching this episode, you guys have seen previous seasons of You. The whole story and plot twist always come in the last couple episodes.
You're right. I agree. The You usually is like a whole, like at the end, you're like, what the fuck? How did I miss that type of thing? I don't know if this will necessarily be that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
I don't know if like, I don't think there's going to be like an aha moment because we already know who the bad guy is.
Yeah. So I'm curious how they're going to do that.
Yeah. I didn't think he was going to fall for Kate or like do his thing for Kate or whatever. I thought it was going to be more Nadia, that other girl. One of his students.
Oh, yeah. I thought that too.
And then, because he was doing his thing where, like, he was trying to serve the murder mystery, but then he'd be like, why is she making me? You know what I mean? Like, he was going to his little thing where it's like, she's making me pay attention to her. You're like, oh, okay, he's about to kill this bitch.
Yeah, adios.
And then it would kind of just fade away. And then towards the last few episodes, it was Kate, where, like, she was just like a raging bitch the whole time. Like, I hated her. Like, she was like one of the most unlikable TV characters ever. Like, I know the point, but it's like, oh my god, like it's one thing when you're an unlikable, and again, we could call sexist, whatever. Unlikable male characters are like, they're usually like funny though, and like when you're an unlikable female character, you're just like an unbearable bitch that nobody likes.
What's his name? Ron.
Yeah,
he was a dick.
He was a dick, but he was funny sometimes a little bit at least. Like weird, but like she was just like an unbelievable cunt.
Yeah,
and it was like, what? Like, why does anyone like her? Like, I never got why they were like friends with her. I'm like, she's a bitch to everybody, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, no, I had mixed feelings about Kate. I should have written down all the characters' names.
I wrote them down.
Oh, perfect. But yeah, so what else should I bring up? I'm looking right here, guys. They did I would say it was semi-predictable. Murder mysteries are always like that. Usually, it's always. They did a good job. I kind of took this. If you watch our Glass Onion episode, I did the similar thing of like just letting the show ride with the show.
Let it unfold. Yeah.
Don't want to overanalyze it because then it could ruin the experience for me. So I kind of let the show.
I didn't think it was Reese until it happened. I mean, I don't know why. It does seem predictable after the fact.
Yeah.
He's like the goody two shoes, right? But for whatever reason, I never really got like when we were guessing who it was. I honestly thought it was Kate, or I thought it was that ditzy bitch who like brought him into the group and was just acting. I think her name was Lady Phoebe.
Phoebe, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was her, and she was just like playing dumb or something. I don't know. So it's like I never thought it was Reese. He just seemed like a really nice guy.
He was always in my names, just because of it was never Ron, just because I was super predictable if it was Ron.
No.
It was never anyone in that group. Reese was okay. I would agree with Kate. If you watched Gotham, Alfred was in it, so I thought he was like maybe, I don't know, because he was always like in the background.
I thought it was like Lady Phoebe and like him helping her type of, like, because I agree with you, like he kept popping up. We were like, he gotta have something to do with this shit. And so that's why I kind of thought it was her, and I was like, he was acting on her behalf or like doing it for her. Maybe even she didn't even exactly know when he was doing it.
Yeah, he like she could have been complaining
because that one time he fucking threatens Joe when Joe catches that dude getting peed on.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You nosy motherfucker," and he's like, "You better fucking basically like I'm gonna kill you if you don't if you don't forget this shit." So that ever since that happened in my head, I was like, I'm guessing this Phoebe bitch did it, and like he did it, and then like since he's her security, he already knew about Joe.
Yeah.
But she's an idiot, so he would never believe her. So he's like, I'm gonna keep that in my pocket. But that's not what happened. That's how I thought. I thought it was like Phoebe and the dude who played Alfred, like something.
That's a plausible one.
Yeah, and I just thought like he was on the side, like he killed that dude and left him there, and like was texting Joe trying to fuck with him.
Yeah. The reason I put Reese in one of my lists of obviously it's revealed now, but was because when they were having that conversation when Joe was just finding out about the guy, when he just found out about Malcolm, it was like fresh, that whole situation was happening. When he went to the bar and Reese was there and they were having their conversation, and then Reese said, well, I wrote the quote down. Where'd it go? He said, excuse me, guys.
Bless you.
Thank you. He said, embrace your damage. I don't know. That just stuck out to me a little bit.
I agree. Now looking back, it does make sense because, like, of course, the killer's always the one having the deep conversations with you, and, like, nobody else was even speaking to Joe. Like, he really didn't even have any interact. All the rest of them were, like, idiots and, like, who, like, weren't making any sense. So, like, it had.
Or just narcissistic. They didn't even really.
Yeah, like, they were just ditzy people who, like, they were in their own world. That's why kind of, like, Kate, to me, seemed like the only one who wasn't like that.
Yeah,
like,
plausible.
she was the one that was, like, trying to solve everybody's problems.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely Kate was definitely on my list just because it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
They were also painting her as the villain too, like kinda. So it couldn't have been her either. You know what I mean? If you know how TV series are.
Yeah. If you figure
like
out.
The biggest bitch is never like you're like, oh, I want it to be her because I hate her the most. So it's never gonna be her.
No, it's never. One question I do have. So they did show in the trailer for part 2 a clip of Love. I don't know if you watched it.
Yeah,
you did?
I did. I watched.
You saw the clip of Love. Is she? I don't know if that was.
I'm guessing he's hallucinating or something.
Okay, I was like, "There's no way."
It's my guess.
I'd be really annoyed if she came back.
Yes, I think that would be a stain,
that would ruin the
stain on the show if they actually brought her back. It'd be fine to have like a scene where like they're all the bitches he killed or sitting in a room. I'm guessing it's gonna be something. I
hope so. Where he's trapped again or something. He's having a hallucination. Because what I really like is when Joe snaps. So like he's always like this cool. Now, I want to say cool. I guess in a way he has like a certain like
goofy like nice guy. He's like a really friendly,
dorky. Yeah, very very kind-hearted guy. But then when he starts snapping, because the way his face always, it's very calm, chill. When he had the gun on him, like. When he's like, Ron's like, he's the killer, and then like he started snapping, his face was like started expanding, and then what's his name, Justin?
Which one?
The guy who like getting peed on. Was it Justin? I feel like it's.
No, it wasn't Justin. It's not Simon. That was the Asian dude who got killed. Adam?
Probably Adam. Yeah.
Adam and Phoebe were the brother and sister, I believe.
They were dating.
Or whatever. They were together.
Yeah.
I thought they were brother and sister because
they're both blonde.
Yeah, and they were like not like hooking up with each other. Like
no, but that was the point. Though.
Yeah, I guess it's a weird thing. Yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, you're right. They are together. But I just remember thinking they were brother and sister until somebody said like, they're together, and I'm like, what the fuck?
But yeah, no. But when he punched him, and then he just started snapping. I really like it when Joe snaps. It just
he is, and when he goes into like that mode where it's like
I gotta fucking
stone face.
Yeah,
like,
fight or
God,
flight.
like, yeah.
He starts snapping, like twitching. I literally love that. But I want to know, do you think we're going to see, because they left a lot of open-ended stuff, do you think we're going to see Marianne again?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said at the beginning, I think the next season, if I had to guess, it'll be season 5. The first half will be in France. The second half will be back in the United States. And maybe they close it out then, however they want to do it.
Okay.
I just think they can't close it out now. I think it has run its course, but it would just not make sense if they ended it after, like, they're not going to close any arc with his kid or any arc with Marianne.
Or even just have him end up either dead or in jail. Like
that's what I'm guessing is, he either kills himself, but he, you know what I mean, he does it in the way where he makes his son a bunch of money or something, or he turns himself in.
I do want to see it.
Or something like that.
The only way to close Joe out, or for any of these type of shows, and Dexter twice did not learn from this, is that you gotta either kill the guy or you gotta turn yourself in. Those are the only two
I don't
options.
think that had to be that way for Dexter. I just think that he should just took his son with him. Like that was the only. I'm fine with Dexter up and running. No, in the first part, like he doesn't leave his son initially.
Yeah.
I think it would have been fine. I'm fine with the killer running away and getting away. Like I know you don't want to end it where the serial killer got away and gets a happy ending, but I'm fine with that. Most of them do. Like in real life, if you think about it, like we've only caught like 100 of them. Like there's people die every fucking day. Like the good ones are the ones that didn't get caught. Like But so I'm fine with that. This is just too sporadic. Like, none of the major things that make JoJo are gonna be in this finale of this part. So it's like I said, the girl. There's no girl that he loves. His baby, I guess, kind of, but it really isn't. It's like a trauma bond type of shit where like he never even liked her. He just kind of now she does because he keeps like forced to interact with her. Yeah, and he's like a weirdo who just falls in love with women he's around by proximity.
I love that so much.
But yeah, they can't end it without some Marianne arc, and they can't end it without at least acknowledging what the hell happened to his kids. So. Yeah,
because I feel like the way this ended, I have mixed feelings. But obviously, it's not the whole story, and like we said earlier in this episode, the way You has always been structured is the entire season. Like they've never done parts before, which I think is kind of its downfall, but I understand why because they want to milk it out. That's how it is.
That's how all the ones they bring back, they're just
they do that with Ozarks. They did that with they're doing that with this.
Yeah, Ozarks just isn't like You, where like
you need the whole season.
Yeah, where like it comes full circle and so Ozark's more like episode by episode, let the plot develop. You is like it'll go back and be like, how did you realize it? Type of shit.
Because they've always done that with every season, so it's hard to fully critique it.
Again, I liked it. I'm not gonna say I'll say that before. I mean, we're not gonna close it out. I'm just saying I found myself not liking it. It was kind of slow. And it was just weird because they were doing this whole thing where it was
different.
Yeah, where it wasn't him being a psycho trying to go after one girl, but it came into it. It was a interesting new take on some kind of murder mystery with Joe in the middle of it. And like I said, I did like it, and it was nice for it to not be this like weird obsessive thing where it's like the whole thing was about a girl. Yeah. Sometimes that bored me. The first season was cool because it was like this thing you've never seen before. But the other season kind of it was a little draining where it's like everything's about like, oh, I just love this girl so much, I'm gonna be a murderer. Like people, I don't know, like that's too much for me at times.
And they corrected that. That's one thing I'll give heavy credit to, and they should get that, is they recovered from that. They're like their trope was psycho stalker girl falls in love, and then it figures out you can only do that really for one season, just because it's more of like the surprise.
But that's
factor.
What's good. But yeah, when they get the girl and then like you're like creating problems to make him even more crazy, it kind of get boring. Yeah. Or like then it's like, oh no, she's a killer now and she's killing other girls. It's like, oh my god, that's too much.
Yeah, that I didn't mind that for season 3 because it was a different aspect. He was like, oh, I want to be a family man. And then there was like a kind of a girl. It was weird. It was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it recovered. I would say it did recover.
The end was good.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
And then season 4 again, they didn't want to do the same trope. And actually, fun fact, Penn Badgley, I think I say his last name. Joe. He said. Because he's married now, he said to the producer, he was like, hey, I understand what I signed up for, I know who I play, but is there any way to bring down the like the constant sexcapades of me? And he asked that.
That's annoying. If that's true, that's really annoying. Like, oh, you got married. Like, your wife married you because of that. Like, to just in all fairness,
because he was an actor.
Because you're an actor. Because of the scenes that you did. Not saying that she likes those more than the other. It's like that's who you are. Like, do what the fuck you do. Like, you're also only an actor till you're like you're only gonna be doing sex scenes till you're what 45, 50.
Yeah, there's only a certain amount.
Yeah, well, it's like you could do acting forever, but it's like when was the last time you seen Robert De Niro in a sex scene?
I was gonna
say
George Clooney.
Yeah, even George Clooney, you don't see him in any sex scenes. Like I haven't. What sex scene we've seen George?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I didn't even think about that in my head because he's been old the whole time. It's like you've seen Brad Pitt in a few, Mr. and Miss Smith, because he's still young and hot, and like people want to see that, but like nobody want to see your 40-year-old ass like fucking roll around with some other 40-year-old chick. Like you want to see two 20-year-olds go at it. Like, so I don't think that's really annoying. If like you're like, oh, I need to do this for my wife. It's like your wife's getting uncomfortable because you're having sex scenes where we all know you're not actually having sex. Like, it's like, are you guys? Did I like?
Well, that's the tricky part. So I took back and look at it, and I understand why. Like that's his personal preference. I have no issue with that. But it's also in the fact of where I'll kind of agree with Sean in the sense of, like you are an actor. And it's not you cheating. Would it be like true cheating would be like going with that same actress out, stuff like that. Like if that'd be a different situation. But you're on set with a crew and another professional actor.
I could even if you want to call it cheats, like that's what you signed up for though. He's the roles he plays is like a lover boy. Yeah. Like he's not fucking John Bernthal. No. Like he's gonna play some goofy white boy who falls in love with a girl. That's what he does. So you could call whatever you want. It's like, that's what the fuck you signed up
Yeah.
for. Like, it'd be one thing if you guys got married, and then all of a sudden 4 years later he becomes an actor and he's having all these steamy
That's
scenes.
different.
Yeah, and I'd be like, okay, even though I was still thinking it's stupid because it's money.
Yeah.
But at least then I could get behind it.
You
Like,
could
that's
under-
not what you signed up for.
Yeah.
It's like, he was in Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
He was in like the two most famous things are Gossip Girl and you. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like, what do you think? Like, everybody gets typecast, so he's gonna be playing the dude from Gossip Girl or the dude from you. Like,
Yeah.
there's really
Or
no
a
in
little bit of
between. Or,
both,
yeah, something like that. It's like, so that is silly. Like, that would irk me. Or if I was a director, like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you get a wife now, and all of a sudden you can't be fucking bitches. You know what I mean? Fake fucking bitches in
Yeah,
a
not
movie.
even
Like,
real. Yeah.
it's like,
That-
what is it? It's like tops off. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
some shit you
'Cause I
do in
mean-
like middle school, like,
'cause I'm trying to
in
think
dry
back.
hump with your tops off. Like,
Yeah, I was trying to think back. There really wasn't. Maybe it's just been a while since I've
in the
seen
first one, there was season, and I think it was a lot of daydreams, right? But so there were actually
Yeah.
scenes, but it was really him just daydreaming in the
So
first
maybe
one.
the first season it was a
Yeah.
lot.
In
but
this one, it was only that girl was fucking jerking herself off. Is the only thing I can remember
yeah,
at the
and
beginning, right?
Yeah, and then
His neighbor. It was Kate, actually,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Kate. Yeah, at first, because he doesn't know the bitch at first.
no.
Yeah, it was Kate. No, I think because I was like, I was like the lady who lives across the street from him. I'm like, oh shit, that was Kate.
That's
'cause,
Kate, champ.
Yeah, that was the only thing I could think of too. It's like, I don't know.
But yeah, I guess because I don't want to repeat myself too much.
Before we get too far, you said fun fact. I thought you would have bring this up. I didn't say anything, but the mansion they were at the end was Wayne Manor.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Wayne Manor from the '90s Batmans, I believe.
That's what it was.
From
yeah.
Michael Keaton's
It looks
Batman.
familiar.
Yeah, it's Wayne Manor from
It
Michael
was
Keaton's
Green
Batman.
Arrows too.
Oh yeah, Green
Yeah,
Arrows.
that's what I
yeah.
recognized it from was Green
Yeah,
Arrow. I
but
didn't even
it's
think about writing it
Batman's.
down.
It's Wayne Manor from the original. Oh, not the original. The '90s
Burton.
Batman with Tim Burton with Michael Keaton.
Burton verse.
That's his version of the Wayne Manor.
Also, hopefully you guys saw the commercial for Flash. Let us know in the comments. I've been thinking about this. Do you think we should do like the trailer breakdowns from all the Super Bowl? You think, or is it a little
Maybe.
too late?
Or we'll do like all of them
Yeah.
instead of just one. Yeah, if we're gonna do all of them, I was gonna say, well, I don't know. Maybe we could just do the one because, like I
Discussion.
said, I do want to do clips. So maybe we could just talk for 5 minutes about it, do
Yeah.
like a reaction. I don't know. I did like it though. Maybe we could. That one had a lot in it too.
Yeah.
So maybe
br-
not all.
let
of
us know in the comments if you want to see something like that. We'll talk off
them. Yeah,
camera.
trailer
but-
reaction.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, overall, it is hard to fully critique it. I'll critique it for what they gave us. Obviously, it's how you're supposed to critique. I don't mind the murder mystery. I really hope it's going to be something different next season. Not the part 2 of season 4. I'm talking about season 5. I will say I'm curious. Obviously, it is a murder mystery after all. But now since the murderer has been solved, I think it's kind of going to go in I hope it doesn't go into cliche, but I feel like it's going to go into cliche with, oh, I got to chase you down type thing.
Yeah, I would agree that was the only thing I didn't like, that they ended it now. It's like, why not? They should have like revealed
Pushed
it at the end.
Yeah, or
of
like
the-
midway through part 2.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a couple episodes before, and then the final episode or two was him trying to get back at him.
Yeah.
I thought they blew their load a little too early, and because now it's just gonna be this weird thing where like, what is Joe like, Reacher now?
Yeah.
Like he's like, you know what I mean? Like, what is he? He's going up against a bunch of rich. He's like a
Yeah.
mayor, and Joe's like a poor teacher
Yeah.
who's living in a country that he's not from.
No.
Like, how is he supposed to go up against this guy? So that part, it's gonna be like you said, cliche and a bunch of weird plot armor things. Where like in reality, if this dude wanted to stop Joe or whatever, he could just say who he is.
Sneeze,
Yeah,
and
say
he'll
who
be
he
gone.
is. And I didn't like the whole like, oh, I'm gonna leave you here in the house on fire. Like it was like
There were
fu-
some
it was like a
cliches.
villain in a fucking '90s
Bond
cartoon.
movie,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, there's the sharks with freaking laser beams attached to
I
their
hate
freaking
that. I
heads.
hated
Like,
that, yeah. There's some cliches. I'll name them off right now. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because there were some cliches. I thought I was too late, but it was when it was like the whole Evanescence app. He's like, oh, this Evanescence app where it just magically disappears. Like it was so random. Like that was ever a thing. You could have just like done notes or something like that. I would have been okay with that. Like the killer left a note in Malcolm's body and shit like that for Joe to
or just be a
discover.
text message. He can't fucking report it to the police
Yeah.
because it was the dead guy was in his house. So it's like it
Yeah.
didn't have to be like this secret app they made up. It could
I
have
did
just
not
been
like
phone
that.
calls.
It was
Like,
just so random.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
and it's like Joe would have deleted them anyway. Who's
yeah.
gonna be
He's
keeping
not gonna show him
text
the cake.
messages where like you murdered somebody?
No, it was bogus. I didn't like that. That was just what's some other plot armor stuff that was stupid. The whole fire in the basement thing.
Yeah, that was silly.
Well, I say not plot armor, cliches. I think it's
that was just cliche. I like you've been talking about this whole time. I thought Yu's claim to fame was like this whole like we do the whole season at the end, it all comes to fruition, and it's like this one they're like, all right, we told you the killer was halfway through, and it's like,
what the fuck is the
okay,
story?
now the second half is Joe's on like a vengeance tour, where the guy's a mayor with millions of dollars in his home on his home turf, and fucking Joe's like, oh, I don't even have anybody. I just yeah, exactly. I think about girls who kill him. Like,
like it doesn't make sense. I like books, like it, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's I don't want to hate on it too much because I don't know.
I'm not hating on anything. I'll find something bad about. I did thought it was okay. The acting was good. The story was different. It wasn't terrible. I just thought you kind of went. They were trying too hard not to be like they normally are, and they kind of did some things I don't think worked out. I am interested to see how the story closes out. I just thought it would have been more interesting if they revealed Reese as the killer later on, even at the end, or like 8 or 9, and then you know what I mean. The final episode was Joe trying to get him back. Yeah. Now it's gonna be like this weird, like
he gonna get
back,
exactly,
like some weird, like he's Reacher or somebody like, oh, now I have to fix the problem. Like he's to fix the problem. Like I don't know. I just think that's out of Joe's realm. And like we like Joe because he's like a normal dude who like goes like a psychopath and like he just like murders girls. Like
and the plot twist was always like, oh well, he's saying this thing, and then you find out in episode 1 he says something, then in episode 7 like you find out, oh well, actually 3 weeks ago he knew her exact same route.
Yeah, exactly. Like he set up the mugging and all.
Yeah, it's like that's so. I don't know how it's gonna play out. I really do hope it ends on a decent note, but I really do hope season 5 goes back to its quote unquote roots. Maybe that's why they're doing so much different stuff.
Yeah, so it feels good. Like, oh, you missed it.
Feels refreshing.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Because we did get a little bored with it, but I think it would have been a better season. It was just him in Paris, like stalking.
Yeah,
Marianne.
that better be next season. That's what I hope to be. It's where,
and like, I don't think they should have had like him approach her right away. He should have been like stalking her for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. Well, that they cut it out, but that's what it was.
He said, that's what I'm saying. But I think the would be cool.
They moved it really fast. I do agree. Do you have any more points?
No, not really. No, not for you.
But yeah, that is it for part 1. Obviously, you'll see part 2 in March. It comes out March 9th, so a few days after that, whenever that will be. But other than that, guys, do us a favor. Comment down below what you thought of this first half and what you think of you overall. Leave a like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to comment down below what you talk about next episode. Follow us on TikTok and calm down. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Links are on the screen and down below. Other than that, I'm Tom. This is Sean, and we'll see you guys next episode. Take care.